Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Kicks and Go podcast that unites checkered flags and offside flags. Today I am talking about the Premier League game week 25. Starting off with the results, Brighton demolished Chelsea with a 3-0 win. Arsenal win against Leicester City with a brace by Mikel Merino. Aston Villa and Ipswich take 1 point each. Fulham triumph over Nottingham Forest with a 2-1 win. Newcastle stumble at Etihad and Omar Marmoush with a hat-trick leads Manchester City to a 4-0 win. Bournemouth win against Southampton 3-1. Brentford win against West Ham 1-0, and Everton get all 3 points against Palace with a 2-1 win. Sunday was Liverpool versus Wolves, 2-1 win to Liverpool, and of course I will get into the details of it. And Spurs win over Manchester United with a 1-0 scoreline. Now the Aston Villa game is yet to happen against Liverpool, and I will get into that as well when I discuss Liverpool. But before we get to Liverpool, just quickly about some of the other games. I think Chelsea had an absolutely shambolic performance against Brighton. I think they did not register a single shot on target in the entire game. Of course, the Nicholas Jackson injury is a huge blow to Chelsea because I do not think they have a replacement for Nico Jackson. And, they could have utilized Joao Felix, but I do not understand why they were so keen to get rid of him from the squad. Um, the problem with this Chelsea team, I think, is a lack of leadership. I think it is a very, very young squad, and a manager who's new to Premier League and just coaching in general. I think Maresca started in 2021. And yeah, it is clearly showing they had a good start to the season, but now it seems to be unraveling very quickly. And the fact is that they still would not stop signing all these young players. I don't know what to think about this transfer strategy that they have. They have all these youngsters and no leadership, and it's not like all these teenagers will like magically become the second coming of like Eden Hazard or Frank Lampard or John Terry for them. They have to be coached, they have to be nurtured. And I think a presence like Thiago Silva was last year for Chelsea, I think is desperately needed in this team. Someone who has experience, someone who can, rally the troop and like boost morale when they have a setback on the pitch. Uh, and again, I think Joao Felix could have been that person because he's played for Chelsea before. He's been in the Premier League. Um, he knows the pressures of being at a club like Chelsea, what it means to perform here. But like they never even saw him as a regular starter. And I mean, I don't know how patient Chelsea fans are going to be with Enzo Maresca. I think I need to know what Neil and Kramer think about this. Leave a comment leave your comments on what you think about how Maresca is doing with this Chelsea, because I think they showed a lot of promise, especially after what Pochettino was last year. But just Cole Palmer also, like, I think he's created the most number of chances for this Chelsea team, and the fact that he's not gotten like any assists out of it um just goes to show that there are still a lot of work to be done with this Chelsea squad. Now, coming to the Arsenal and Leicester City match, Mikel Merino, good impact of the bench. The forward situation at Arsenal is, of course, dire. That is no secret, and I think kudos to Arteta for this move. I don't know if it was like a genius move or it was just a desperate attempt to salvage the game at the point, but good job. I guess it worked. So I do not have much to say about this game, to be honest. Yeah, you could say that Arsenal were struggling, but they have a lot of injuries and they have a depleted squad. I think with how lucky Arsenal has been with the injuries in the last two seasons. Now, I think we'll get to see how Arteta can manage this situation. Um, their upcoming games are like West Ham at home, and then next week, midweek, would be Forest away, which is going to be a big test for them. Not West Ham, although I think West Ham did beat them last season, and Forest, of course, like they had a shocking result against Fulham. So I don't know, but um, I don't know if I would call it shocking though. I think that game was either going to be a draw or it was going to be a one goal win, which it ended up being. I think Fulham, Forest, Bournemouth, especially like with their squad and their managers and tactics, have been teams this year that are like very closely matched to each other and are very, very capable of fighting with the big guys. So for me, this has been one of the best Premier League season to see all these teams that you would consider, mid-table teams where you would consider almost all teams in at least the top four to beat them comfortably, but that has not been the case. And I think this, in that aspect, I think this season has been um, good. I don't know about the title race. I mean, I'm not saying that the title race is wrapped up. I think that it's not over till it's mathematically over. So it's just good to see how close these games are, and even when a team like even Liverpool is who sit at the top of the table, if they're playing against one of these teams, it's not a guaranteed victory for them. So yeah, I think this season is one of the best in the last couple of seasons that we've seen. Now, brief talk about Tottenham and Manchester United. Of course, big win for Spurs. I think Madison gave a very fitting reply to all the Roy Keane comments. And Manchester United hit with injuries again. Amad Diallo, I think, big loss for them. He was the only ray of hope in what has truly been a nightmare of a season for the Red Devils. Of course, as a Liverpool fan, very happy. Absolutely no sympathies. And also as somebody who has been in the presence of really obnoxious Manchester United fans, it's good to see them be a little bit humbled. Just hoping, like, wishfully thinking, but maybe Wolves or Leicester or Ipswich, if you can just find something to, listen, I don't think that Manchester United get relegated this year. I think they will escape relegation this season, but like, how many players can they actually get for Amorim in the summer window? We'll see, because they have spent big money, and I don't think they will even be breaking even on selling some of these players, let alone making a profit. So we'll see. But good for Spurs. I think it's a big boost as well. Getting their players back wasn't the best game of football on the weekend, but I think they got the job done. They got the win. They kept a clean sheet and jumped above United to 12th place. Like, this is how close I think the table is also, and this is how good the season has been so far. Because like from fourth to I think 10th place, you make like big jumps with like if you've outscored after the games. So like if you get 3 points versus a draw or a loss, and similarly from like 11th to 16th again, like I think Tottenham jumped 2 or 3 places after just getting this win. So yeah, it's good to see the table shuffling so much. Now we come to Liverpool. I know it was a shocking second half. I think I maybe understood what the game plan was. But I think we severely underestimated how Wolves were going to play the second half. Now, I want to first talk about the positives. I think Kwanzaa and Allison had very good performances. So did Endo. I think Arne Slot got him on to just pocket Cunha, and he did a very, very, very good job. And I also think that Arne Slot has maybe understood that he needs to start using Endo to kind of see these games out. And maybe if Endo did make an appearance in the Everton game, maybe the result could have been different, no matter how much time the officials let it run for. But I think it's in the past. I like that we saw the game through. And I think after the Cunha goal, I think there was a dread settling in the stadium and in the players also. I think it was like, oh my god, what if they end up getting the equalizer? But I'm glad we got all the 7 points. Still 7 points clear at the top of the table. Now the negatives, rather I would say concerns. I think Konate got very lucky not to have been sent off. Now, before rival fans cry about the unfairness of it all, okay, blame it on the ref. I do not want us to get a red card. I did not want us to get a red card, but it's the ref's call. And yeah, the refereeing standards have been shambolic, but you can't do anything. Like, every single time that decisions go against one of your rivals, people just revel in the fact that, oh, they are going against their rivals and not about whether or not they're objectively right. So I'm not going to be objective now. But good on Arneslot to replace him. I think it helps us when we play Aston Villa midweek, since Konate has only played one half. So that's a plus. And I think Kwanzaa's performance in the second half worked big, big wonders for his confidence. He had a shaky start to the season, not been as good as what he was last year for us. So I think this performance helped him a lot. The thing I really want to highlight is the Jota dive. Now, as a Liverpool fan, I think it was poor from Jota, and I do not know why he would try to do that. Like, just take a shot. You are one of our best strikers, so I do not know what his thought process was. Why was he so keen on trying to get that penalty? When you are in that position, just take the shot. Maybe you score, maybe you don't, but like, just don't dive. Like, I think the referee was right to consult the VAR and disallow the penalty. Now, I know the players should get a yellow for such shenanigans. And I can see why fans may be questioning why Jota did not see a yellow for that. And listen, if the refereeing in the league was fair and consistent, I would have questioned it too, and it is not. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, Jota should have seen a yellow if the decisions were being given consistently. If VAR was being used, how it was used in this situation, every single game by every single referee. But it is not happening. So I'm not going to sit here and try and be objective and fair, because the referees are not. So 3 points on the board. I think Slot's plan was to maybe go slow in the second half, conserve energy, uh, depending on, like, given how big the next three games are. The thing where we lacked, I think, this time was, how in the City game or even the Madrid and Leverkusen game, we let those teams have possession, but just for the sake of it. There was not much attacking threat coming from our opponents having possession. I think that is what Liverpool was lacking. I do not have a problem with us taking it slow and letting our opponents have the possession, but like when Wolves had possession, they were relentless. And I think Liverpool did not have a single shot in the second half of the game, which is really shocking. I think now we are at a point at the season where we can see what the end of the season could bring for us. And I think uh, we have to be damn near perfect. And I think now we are going to see a lot of such performances where if we get a good enough lead, we'll just happy to sit back and defend it. But hopefully we do it with a little bit more control. But I mean, the next three games, I do not think we can play like this, especially not the two away games. The game against Villa now, I think Gakpo being unavailable is a little bit of a blow. I think that Arne Slot would not want to rush him back given what happened with Joe Gomez. Like he's out for a long time now, but what Arne Slot said is we are expecting him to be back towards the end of the season. Um, with Gakpo, I think he's been the better left winger, but to be fair, Diaz has mostly played as a striker than as a winger. I think it will be a very tough game. Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins need to be controlled. I would not be surprised if Endo's capabilities are utilized again. I don't know if Arne Slot will start him though, but I think second half he needs to manage. I think these three games we will see a lot of rotation, and I don't know if Arne Slot will think like that, but I do not see a big problem in maybe starting Endo in the Aston Villa game, and if needed, maybe you let Ryan Gravenberch come on in the second half if needed. I think Jota would be the preferred forward to start, and Nunes comes on in the second half. Nunes, as a striker, is very unproductive, but I think his defensive work and off the ball performances, his work rate is very, very, very massive. And I think second half when everybody is running out of steam, I think we can utilize his chaotic energy. Another positive is Curtis Jones being back after his suspension, so he will be available. I think Curtis Jones starts this game over Zoboslai, which is understandable. I'm not too big on Curtis Jones. I think Zobo is just something different, and Curtis is Zobo light. But Zobo getting some rest before the City game is needed, I think. Now, Anislot has said Gakpo is close to coming back, so my thought is maybe it's second half in the City game, maybe he makes a cameo and maybe starts against Newcastle then. So yeah, this run of fixture is very crucial. I think from the next three games, if we can get 7 points, I think it would be a good result. But I would always hope for the best and hope that we get all 9 points. Um, Not too fussed about a clean sheet also, as long as we get 3 points in each match. Like I do not want like Virgil and Konate and Ryan and like even both our fullbacks to like expend too much energy to try and hang on to a clean sheet. Just outscore your opponents, keep it slow, and just win it. Don't make it a end to end goals galore spectacle, but like just keep calm and have control in the game. I think we're in a good position to add some extra pressure on Arsenal to be perfect if we get all three wins. Like I know they will have a game in hand, okay? But because we're playing Aston Villa, if we do manage to get all those 3 points, the gap to Arsenal will be minimum of 10 points. Like this is assuming that Arsenal win their next two games, which is going to be like the 2 game weeks, 26 and 27, which is West Ham and Forest. So I think it will put an extra pressure on Arsenal. I think for Arsenal, Forest away is going to be difficult. And like yeah, I mean all we can do is control our own performances. Um, what Arsenal do in their games is Arsenal's business. All we have to do is get the 3 points in every single one of these games, and yeah, we have to be damn near perfect. and at our very best. I have faith. I think we have players in this team who have won the league, who know how to win a league. We have a solid leader in Virgil van Dijk and a manager who has amazing game management. The Wolves game was, I think, energy conservation for the big week coming up. I just wish we had a bit more control. But I also understand that Wolves is a team who's trying to avoid relegation, and so they would give it way more and they would fight. We saw them fight the way they fought because they're trying to avoid relegation. And like, I'm not really scared about the title run. I'm just starting to be a bit more cautious. I think if Arsenal drop points, we will get a little bit more breathing room. But like I said, like it's not in our hands. We play them. It's like the third last game of the season. So up until then, all we can do is play our games and win them. And if we can't win them, just get a point. So yeah, that's it. That's it from this episode of Kicks and Cup podcast. Man, you'd think that I would ditch the habit of referring to the older name. I'll probably do a watch along for the City Liverpool game. Uh, and on the request of one of our fans, we do have a Discord server now. If you want to join it, you can find the link in the description below. Thank you for watching this episode. Please like the video, subscribe to the podcast, click on the notification bell to know when we release an episode. Yeah, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the coming 3 games for Liverpool and the coming 2 games for Arsenal? What are your hopes? What happens with these results? And I will see you soon, hopefully next week. Also, Champions League matches, the second leg, the knockout phase is starting tonight. So, yep, some good football to be watched. And hopefully, we would be soon back with our Formula One episodes as well. Today is again the O2 launch event. And yeah, I'm excited because Jake Whitehall is going to be, I don't know if he's hosting or just performing, but yeah, I like him. He's a good comedian. So excited about that. Formula One is coming back soon. Good that the first race, I think, would happen when there is I think, international break in football. So, well, anyways, until next week,